So what up? It's your friendly homie on too. And yeah, baby, we're in season number 4, baby. Let's get it on.
Who you riding with?
B-E-M-I-C.
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 So, I want to start this season off with a list video. Now, I know usually I don't do list videos, but this one is kind of special for me. I consider myself an advocate for the new rider. I'm big about, looking out for the new riders because it was not so long ago that I was a new rider and I remember how it was. And so I want to do a special video kind of catered to the new rider. And I want to call this the 5 types of riders that new riders need to be aware of. Not necessarily avoid them, not necessarily saying that these are bad riders. It's just certain characteristics that that new riders need to be aware of whenever they are first starting out. The first rider on my list is the billboard. Now, we all have a little bit of billboard in us, even me. And like I said, these aren't bad riders. There's nothing wrong with being a billboard. And the billboard is the guy that is the guy or the girl that's all about a certain brand. Well, we all have our preferences, our brands that we really like. You might find a Honda snob that just love nothing but Honda, or Harley Davidson, or any of the brands really. When you're a new rider, you pretty much emulate the riders that are around you, and you might like a different bike type or a bike company than the riders that you're around. If a new rider is just starting off, and let's say he bought himself a brand new, well, maybe not brand new, a used Honda Shadow, and you're a Harley Davidson through and through, if you don't allow him or her to really kind of come into their own with how they ride and what they want to ride, your influence can be pretty negative on them, and they can get discouraged about riding. And that's not something that we want. New riders, try not to take it so personally. And for my seasoned riders, watch yourself when you're around new riders, because everything you do and say, they're watching. And we don't want to really influence new riders to stop riding just because we come off as a jerk a little bit. So just watch that billboard attitude. Number 2, Captain Weatherblind. Now, Captain Weatherblind is one of my favorites, and it's the type of rider that you might see that will tell you, I'll ride in anything. I'll ride in rain, I'll ride in the cold, I'll ride in a monsoon, an earthquake, famine. I'll ride in any condition there is on earth. It doesn't matter. Now, it doesn't take a genius to figure out why this is pretty bad for a new rider to be around, because they're a new rider, man. They haven't really developed their skills yet. I mean, so if you feel like it's a little too nipply for you, it's too cold outside, don't ride. If you feel like you don't want to chance getting caught in the rain, if you got a high % chance that you might get caught in the rain, don't risk it, man. I mean, especially when you're new, you don't have the skills to really the fundamental skills, so you don't really want to be out in rain in conditions that are less than ideal for you when you're first starting off. So don't listen to some of those Captain Weatherblind riders that try to coach you on to riding in any condition. Rider number 3, Mr. Crash. Now, Mr. Crash isn't what you think it is. It's not just the rider that has crashed. I mean, that's something that a lot of riders can't help. I mean, there's some things that precautions you can make to kind of make sure that you minimize your chances of getting in a crash. I'm not picking on riders that have crashed their bikes before. What I am denouncing is that attitude that it's inevitable. Those riders that will tell you from day one that you're going to get in a crash, that it's part of riding. That's some BS, really. Do not listen to that negative bull. I mean, the thing is, you'll never hear that from a rider that has never crashed. You're only going to hear that from riders that have been down. And I guess this their result that, hey, look, if I've been down, then I just want to, it's inevitable. Everybody's going to be down, you know. But just because you've been down and you've crashed your bike doing some crazy stuff doesn't mean that it's inevitable that these new riders are going to crash one day. Now I know and I recognize the real fact that it can happen. You prepare yourself for it, you wear gear, you do all of the precautions that you possibly can to avoid it. But that Mr. Crash mentality, please stay away from him or her. If they telling you you're gonna crash one day, it don't matter, you're gonna crash, it's gonna happen to you, don't worry about it, it's gonna happen, it's part of bike life. Don't listen to that BS, man. Even if I did go down, I'm not gonna tell another rider that comes up after me that it's inevitable that he or she is gonna go down. Rider number 4. This is also one of my favorites. Dr. One Up is, just what it sounds like. One of my favorite apps is MotoAmino. Plug. So MotoAmino is where you can go and see a lot of riders, and you can meet riders from all over the world. I chat with them almost every day. And but a lot of new riders might come into the chat room, and older riders sometimes forget that they were new riders at one point in time. Mr. One Up is the guy that sees a new rider come in and say, hey, man, guess what, y'all? I just rode outside of my city for the first time. It's the first time I went outside of my city limits, and I got on the highway. I did 70 miles an hour. I kept up with the traffic. Everything was good. And guess what, man? I did 100 miles today, man. This, it's the first time I ever rode that long. I did 100 miles. Went to such and such city, and I came back, and they just all excited about that ride, man. That feat. First time you get on the highway. First time you do 70 miles an hour. First time you take a trip that's triple digits. I mean, all of these are things that every rider has done for the first time at some point in time, and the proper response to that is, man, great, man, you did that's awesome, man. Where did you go? How was it, man? Tell me all about it. That's the proper response. But that's not the response that Dr. One Up will give you. Dr. One Up is gonna make sure that you feel like a microbe. Oh man, 100 miles, man, I do that commuting every day. Man, you just went outside of your city for the first time. You've been riding for 2 weeks. Man, you should have been outside of your city on the second day, man. I was doing that my second day I was riding. What? Oh, you did 70 miles an hour on the highway? Man, shoot, I do $120 every time I get on that mug. This is Dr. One Up. Dr. One Up cannot allow you to enjoy, that little feat. And everybody's had it. It's not something that Dr. One Up himself, at one point in time, went outside of his city for the first time. It's something that every rider experiences. These first time doing things, it's something that every rider experiences. So why can't he, let you have your moment? It's just something about, they got to make it about them. And, there's no real way to turn this particular kind of character around to a good thing. Dr. One Up is just being a jerk, really, and if you're around those type of riders that pretty much every time when you say you've done something for the first time, they make it seem like it's nothing. I mean, who wants to hear that crap every single time they accomplish something? They tell, the riders that they're close to about it, namely you, and you just shoot it down like it's nothing. So really, you need to find some new riders to ride around, plain and simple. And last but not least, my favorite, number 5, Super Mileage Man. Super Mileage Man is the quintessential bragger guy. He's the guy that, you know, it's all about the mileage. I mean, nothing about, you know, the ride is more fascinating to him than how many miles he's done. Now, the reason why this is, you know, negative upon the brand new rider is because the rider that is new shouldn't be thinking about meeting certain mileage increments. They should just be enjoying the ride and learning this new thing, you know, this new, you know, bike life. I mean, they shouldn't be worrying about how many miles they've done. That shouldn't be their big concern. They should just be enjoying the ride and learning all they can about their bike. And you know, this just takes away from that, in my opinion. And there's nothing wrong with getting high miles. I mean, I know a lot of riders that ride a lot of miles every year. There's nothing wrong with it. But if you approach me and you just did, you know, 2,700 miles in a couple of days, and that's the first thing you tell me, you're gonna lose me right then. I want to hear about, you know, the scenic routes that you took. I want to hear about the places that you stopped along the way. I want to hear about the people that you met. I want to hear about the food that you tasted at the stops that you made. All of this is something that's of quality to tell me about your ride. And I get it. I know what it is. It's basically, that's what gets them off. They want to hear somebody say, oh man, you did how many miles? You know, they want you to be impressed. But I'm more impressed when you tell me, you know, about the details of the trip rather than just telling me about the miles. And I think, like I said, as far as the new rider, this can make the new rider focus on mileage and not, you know, the quality of the ride. This is definitely that quality versus quantity debate completely, because you're talking about the quantity of miles instead of the quality of the trip, and a new rider shouldn't be focused on that, man. Really, that's just my opinion. But you know, now my exception is if it was an iron butt. If you did an iron butt and it was specifically a Saddle Sore 1000 or it was a 1500, then, you know, by default, that was the whole purpose of you doing that trip. So of course I expect you to tell me, you know, that it was 1500 miles or if it was 1000, because you did an iron butt. That was the whole purpose of it. But if you went on a trip and the trip was really not specifically to get an iron butt patch, then why lead off with how many miles you did? I don't care. I think it's because I'm such a visual person. I make videos, I take pictures, and I'm all about giving details, and I can't see anything in your mileage. You can tell me you did 1,200 miles, it was probably all highway, and there's really nothing else to tell about the story, really. There's nothing quality about it. It's just that you was on the highway for 1,200 miles. So honestly, I'm just not really impressed by that. But I know some people are. But I just think that it's not the thing that a new rider really should be impressed by. So, and that's the focus that we're talking about. It's not really about whether or not mileage is a good thing or not. It's just a fact that a new rider shouldn't be focused on that, really. Now, as you see, this video was pretty much a video of duality. So yes, I'm talking to the new rider. I'm telling them about certain characteristics that some older bikers or some more seasoned bikers have that they should kind of monitor themselves about. I'm not saying that they should be, you know, completely stay away from all of these characters all together, I mean, they wouldn't ride with anybody. But it's just something that they should, you know, kind of keep in their back pocket. So if they see some of these characters display themselves, that they can kind of not get discouraged and to not ride because of, you know, that rider that's around them being a jerk. But this is also about the seasoned rider. This is something for you guys too. If you see that you're displaying some of these characteristics and you're around new riders, you're really not thinking about them. And you know, I just would like to encourage some of the new riders, I mean, well, the older riders rather, to look out for the new riders, man. And like I said, I'm a big advocate for the new rider. I mean, when I'm riding with a new rider, I'm riding like a new rider, you know, because I want them to not try to be influenced by some of the stuff that I'm ready for that they're not ready for. And so just kind of trying to make that whole thing contagious, you know. Man, it's beautiful out here today, man. It's just beautiful out here. But anyway, man, it's season 4, baby. We're on to season 4. I'm so excited. But you know how we do. Let's end it off the way we always do. Ride your ride, baby. Peace.